I, 38F, met my friend Dave, 42M, about 4 years ago in an online gaming forum. During the entire time we talked, I became friends with his wife Brenda, 43F, and he became friends with my fiancée Mikkel, 38M. I live by the rule in a relationship that if there is conversation that I wouldn't feel comfortable showing my significant other, then I don't need to be having that conversation. At no point did Dave ever cross a line with me, nor was there ever inappropriate conversation. This is important. About a year and a half ago, summertime, Mikkel got a big promotion and we hosted a fun weekend-long celebration at our home. We invited Dave and Brenda, who live 5 hours from us, and this was the first time we actually met them in person. I instantly connected with Brenda, as she was so authentic and sweet. We all got along well, and even started talking about doing future get-togethers and vacations. It seemed perfect. At this time my company was doing major layoffs and I was looking for a new career. Brenda has worked at a remote company for over a decade and recommended I apply. After a few intense interviews, I was hired. Quick side note, Dave had been injured in work-related accident that had gone to court. He sued and won. He was permanently disabled because of the accident and can no longer work at his profession. That, along with a large life insurance policy from his parents, he is financially set for life. He stays home and raises their daughter Leah, 5, while Brenda does her remote work from the house as well. So, a little over a year ago, during the fall, a few months after the celebration weekend, Dave and Brenda were getting ready to take their daughter Leah, 5, on a vacation. Before they left for the airport, Dave said he needed to talk to me. It was urgent, so I stepped away to take the call. Dave then told me he had literally nobody else to talk to this about, and was deeply depressed, and needed to confide in me as a friend. I really wish he hadn't. He told me that the night before he had gotten into a huge fight with who he calls his best friend, Rachel, 41F. I had heard about Rachel but never met her, and didn't know too much about her, to be honest. What I did know, Dave, Brenda and Rachel had been friends in college, approximately 20-year-long friendship. She had visited at Dave and Brenda's house several times over the years, and that Rachel allegedly had been in a string of bad relationships of which Dave had to bail her out financially a few times. That's about it. Here comes the information that I wish Dave hadn't told me, as it has completely changed how I view my friend. Dave told me that Rachel confessed to him the night before that she knew he was attracted to her. Yes, she is gorgeous. Dave said he has always been attracted to her physically, but mentally her personality, specifically her shallowness, was a huge turnoff for him. Some unkind things were said about Brenda letting herself go since having Leah, which disgusted me. He then said Rachel confessed that she is frustrated with her never-ending chain of bad relationships and wants to finally settle down. She knows he is wealthy and can give her the life she feels she deserves. She wants him to leave Brenda and Leah, move to Rachel's city, buy her a large house, and let her be his trophy wife. I choked back a laugh at this because I literally thought it was a joke. Seriously? She admits to not being physically attracted to him. Okay, who says things like that? But knows she can satisfy him and he can give her the lifestyle she deserves. She just demands that he has to completely cut off the life he has now, including all friends and family, and be with her. What is worse, Rachel has been planning this for literally years. Sitting in their home, eating their food, drinking their wine, holding Leah, laughing with Brenda, all while planning this. I was floored. I asked what Brenda thought of all this. He said he didn't tell her. I asked him how Rachel took it when he told her to F off. He said he didn't. He doesn't want to lose her as a friend and he even considered her proposition. I felt sick. I told him I was shocked, and to me, even if he decides not to take Rachel up on it, this is a betrayal to Brenda. Dave explained that while his and my conversations consisted of gaming, stupid memes, and planning potential couples vacations, his conversations with Rachel were emotional and raw. They spoke for hours on end, every single day, while he was caring for Leah, and while Brenda was working in the next room. Okay, Yule. Stop. He asked my opinion, and I told him he has two options, either leave Brenda, or completely break off all contact with Rachel and focus on his marriage. But since he asked, in my opinion Brenda needed to know. Especially since she considered Rachel a friend, and knowing that Rachel wants to screw over Brenda and Leah. Seriously, typing this disgusts me. After the call ended I told Mikkel about it. He was as shocked as I was, but asked what I was going to do. I just sat there trying to digest what I had just heard. Dave, Brenda and Leah went on their vacation. During this time we didn't communicate. When he got back he told me that he had cut Rachel off, but refused to tell Brenda about it. Okay, fine, whatever. I don't agree with his action to not tell her, but it's not my life, not my relationship. He asked for advice and I gave it. I told him that in my eyes, he had betrayed his wife, whether physically or not, and I still felt that Brenda deserved to know. Almost immediately I felt myself pulling away from Dave. My image of him was damaged. When I interact with Brenda online for work, I'm professional and friendly, but it's painful keeping this secret. However, as time passed I began to think that perhaps this was over. Dave had just made a stupid mistake and was just thinking about what could be. He didn't actually leave her, right? And most importantly, he cut Rachel out. Dave and I began talking a bit more. I actually thought maybe things can go back to the way they were. Since didn't actually physically cheat, maybe it's best that Brenda doesn't know, for her own mental health and happiness. Maybe we can move past this. So many thoughts going through my mind. So many ways of rationalizing this. The mental gymnastics were Olympics level impressive. Then about a month ago he drops the bomb. He tells me that Rachel and he are talking again. She allegedly begged him for forgiveness, and cried that she is going through another horrible breakup and needs his friendship, or else she doesn't know what she might do. He said he is going to keep her at arm's length, but she needs him. He will just be there for her a little bit, but it won't be like it was before. Oh holy night. To my chagrin, love that word, as the weeks pass he begins to mention her more and more. I tell him I don't want to hear about her, and when he keeps going I finally snap and tell him not to mention her to me at all. I'm so pissed that he is talking to her again, and that he doesn't care about how me knowing this is putting more guilt and strain in my mind, especially when I have to interact with his wife. It's completely unfair that he told me about his situationship with Rachel, knowing that I consider Brenda a friend, and that we work together every day. I've begged him to tell Brenda about it. She has the right to decide if she wants to stay. And most of all that he is actively still friends with a woman who wishes hurt and pain on his wife and little girl. How do you sleep at night, sir? Dave still talks about planning vacations together with Mikkel and I, but I don't even respond. Honestly, I don't see how I can sit at dinner with them and keep quiet, especially if Rachel were to get brought up in conversation, and especially if wine is involved. And let's be honest, there will be wine. I have one of those faces that speaks my mind without saying a word, which is why I do better working remote, versus client facing. I dread the day when / if either Dave or Brenda say that Rachel is coming to visit them again. I can pretend it won't happen, but let's be honest. Dave is a complete moron who managed to somehow miraculously prevent his marriage from going up in flames, only to soak himself in gasoline and open the door to the walking, talking, gorgeous yet shallow lit match. Reddit, help me. I want to cut him out completely because I am so disgusted by his actions, but I know Brenda will be upset and drill me about it. Especially since they have been planning a trip to Europe for next year and wanting us to come. Should I just tell her that we had a falling out? Should I find a way to hint to Brenda not to trust Rachel? I didn't even want to know any of this, and I'm so pissed that he dumped this on me. We were friends, but not that type of friend. As for Brenda, I would want to know if I were friends with and playing host to a girl who wanted to steal my husband, and the father of my child. But I'm also concerned about my job, my livelihood. She's been with the company over 10 years and I've only been a year. I've kept this secret from her for so long. If I say something, can it affect my employment? Should I just pull away from them and when asked make some lame excuse like I am too busy? Edit, I wanted to clarify a few things. When I say friend I mean we are more than mere acquaintances, but we aren't besties. I've always been closer to Dave than Brenda strictly because he's the one who I game with. However, Dave and I never had deep conversations before he unloaded this secret on me. We talked about low TR, Harry Potter, going to festivals, and eventually us joining them on vacations. We haven't so far. Money was too tight for us to join them before Mikkel's promotion, and before I was given this job opportunity, so vacations were something for the future. We've only ever met once in person, for the promotion weekend last summer, but have continuously made plans to visit, or meet up in the city. Due to funds and other hiccups, the plans always fell through. Our friendship was something that we had built to get away from the stress of life. Light-hearted and meant to be fun. As for Brenda, she recommended me for the position at her work but I had to earn the position. She isn't my boss, but she definitely has seniority. Before the conversation with Dave, I had high hopes for Brenda and I becoming closer and us all being good friends down the road. Unfortunately, since this happened last year, I have kept my distance and didn't nurture my relationship with Brenda. I have no proof. The conversation where he told me everything was over the phone, and I didn't record it. Plus I'm in a two-party state, so I think I could get in trouble for that. If I tell Brenda it will be my word against his. And if she goes to him, he can deny everything, or even try to spin it against me. This is where I worry it could affect my job. My job is my biggest concern at this point. I do not want to lose my job. I don't want my job to become awkward. I would love to be able to give Brenda a heads up about the situation, but also I can't afford to lose my job. I cannot stress this enough. If I knew I could warn her without harming my own situation, I would. It may sound like my mind is made up, but it's not. I just wanted to add those for clarification and hopes that there is something that can be done. Comments where Op has replied, Dear_parsnip_6802, you give him 1 week to tell her or you will. Tell him that he is emotionally cheating on his wife and she deserves to know so she can decide if he's worth staying with. You let him know that you gave him the opportunity to make things right by cutting off Rachel and he chose not to. He chose to disrespect his wife by continuing to have a relationship with someone who wants to cause her harm. I'd be honest and let him know the fact that he would even entertain Rachel's offer of a superficial relationship where she'll have sex with him in exchange for money. That's what her offer amounts to, and him abandoning his little girl disgusts you and you have lost respect for him as a person. Time to be firm about it. Either way your friendship with him is over, so you may as well be a girl's girl and let his wife know what she's married to. At least Rachel will not step foot back in their home. Oop, thank you. This is exactly how I feel. I think I needed to hear this from someone outside the situation. Butterfly Wings 71. Great advice, and make copies off all online conversations, texts, etc. in case he tries to erase or edit them. That way he can't twist things or lie about anything, and if there is divorce, Brenda will have proof to smoke his ass in a divorce. And if he is stupid enough to get his trophy wife, she prob bankrupt him in a few years. Update. Hello Reddit. First of all, I want to send a huge thank you to all who took the time to read and comment on my post. I read all of your replies and took most into consideration. I mentioned that I would wait until after Thanksgiving to make my decision, as I didn't want to ruin the holiday for Brenda and Leah. During that time I decided that if I lose my job then it would suck, but I know I can get another. I have to do what's right, and what is also best for my mental health. Yesterday, with Meekel's support, I sent out a group message to them both saying hope you guys had a happy Thanksgiving. To my surprise, Brenda replied with yeah, not so much. I asked what happened, and she said that Rachel's mom was in the hospital with pneumonia and Dave went to be with her for moral support, and that she was left hosting alone. Dave didn't reply. Meekel told me that this was the perfect time, and he would support me whatever I chose to do. So I sent, I'm amazed how forgiving you are, Brenda. I don't think I could be so chill. Dave replied with? But Brenda immediately called me and I put her on speaker. She asked what I meant and I said after what happened last year. With Dave and Rachel. Before you guys left for vacation. She told me to go on, and that's when I knew he had not in fact told her. So I told her everything. I also told her I was sorry, and had tried to convince him to tell her, but that I didn't know if anything more had happened, so maybe there is a chance to fix this. I told her that since Rachel was back in their lives, I assumed they moved past it, maybe since they've been close friends since college. She seemed eerily calm, and said something like, oh no, Rachel never went to college. She met Dave online about 10 years ago. She's never been to college or even had a real job. She asked if there was anything else. Reddit. I started freaking out, lost any remaining confidence I had, and told her that the reason I hadn't said anything was because I didn't have any proof, and since working with her I had been worried to say anything about it because I didn't want to risk my job, but not anymore. I was spiraling. Brenda said she had to go and hung up. I just sat there feeling sick. 2 whole hours later Brenda called me back. Some of you called it. When confronting Dave and Rachel, they told her that I had actually propositioned him, and that I was jealous of his and Rachel's friendship, and I wanted what Brenda had. I started shaking and crying. At this point Meekel interrupted her and said he had heard parts of the original conversation. Not all, but enough to know that what I had told him afterward was the truth. She tried interrupting him but he cut her off. He said that this had been tearing me up and he was sick of it. He wished her the best, and hoped she could remain professional at work, but after this call he wants Dave out of our life for good. Then he hung up. About 30 minutes later I got a text from Brenda. She apologized for us being dragged into this, said she's mortified that I know, and says Meekel didn't let her finish. She was just telling us what they said, and then she drops this epic bombshell. She already knows what's up, and has since last year. She just had no idea until then that I knew. You'll get cookies if you called that, BTW. She says the way he acted last year on the vacation, like a heartbroken lovesick puppy, was a huge red flag, and she felt deep down something wasn't right with him and Rachel. As soon as they got back home she started digging, looking through his computer, his phone, and iPad. It's not just Rachel, there's more. She's the only one he's met up with. None of the others wanted him in person, just his money. I asked if she's okay or if she's worried about Dave coming back, but Brenda said she already has a lawyer and has been spending the past several months getting her affairs in order. She was going to give him the divorce papers after Thanksgiving, but with him abandoning them like that, She instead took advantage of his absence to change the locks and start packing his stuff. My information along with her lies just made it easier for her. This chick is so much more badass than I knew. I don't know if changing locks is legal, but good for her, I guess. She apologized again for Dave, and I told her I was sorry I didn't say something earlier. She told me that if she didn't already know about Dave, and hadn't read a lot of our messages, which she said were pretty boring, ouch lol, she probably wouldn't have believed me. It was an impossible situation. I told her that if she needs to talk, we are here. If not, then I'll just be her coworker. Either way, I'm done with Dave. Fuck Dave. Next story. Fiancée told her friend she's not excited by me and just wants to settle down, because I'm safe. Then I realized she was just dating me because my parents are rich. I, 29M, know this may sound like a huge overreaction on my part, but my head has been ringing ever since this happened. I've been engaged to my fiancée, 28F, for a few months now. We had dated for just shy of 2 years prior to that. It would be cliché to say everything was going great, but for the most part it was good. My family really took a liking to her, which was also really great. Now I've never been the one to think too much about how I'm viewed as a partner, but all of that changed recently. I basically overheard her on the phone, telling her friend that if she wants to find the one, excitement isn't important. She basically said me, isn't exciting, but he makes me feel safe, and that's when I realized I wanted to settle down with him. This hit me kinda hard. Reddit, I've read these types of posts before. You know, the whole she goes for bad boys then settles with a safe schmuck type of thing. But I don't think that's what she meant, so the day after I just straight up told her that I overheard her talking about me and that I don't understand what she meant by not finding my exciting. She then told me that it's true that she doesn't find me exciting, but that doesn't matter. I honestly felt very hurt. Maybe my ego is fragile? But it was a surprise to me because I felt like the way I see myself in my head was colliding with how she sees me, and it made me feel spaced out. I asked her what she means by not finding my exciting, and she didn't seem to know how to even answer. She could see I was upset, and as pathetic as this sounds, I made an excuse to leave and said we'll talk about it later. Ever since then, my head has been spinning. I ride motorcycles. I have tattoos. I go to the gym. I do MMA as a hobby. So how is it that I'm not the exciting guy? I've always seen myself as being that exciting guy. My ex was basically obsessed with me and constantly made it clear she found me exciting. But MW, now fiancé, doesn't see me as exciting for whatever reason. I was honestly shocked because I felt my sense of self kinda crumble. And what made it worse is I'm excited by her. When I see her, I want to rip her clothes off, I want to do things, I think about her. But she seemingly doesn't see me the same way at all. As crazy as this sounds, I have considered calling off the engagement entirely. Am I being crazy here? Update, the last few days have been a roller coaster of emotions. There were a lot of interesting perspectives, from both male and female posters. It seems that the female posters said that being seen as safe is a really great compliment. Whereas the male posters said I should run for the hills. Certainly an intriguing insight into how men and women see things differently. So I ended up talking to my fiancée about what she meant. She seemed really nervous and knew that she had upset me. I have to admit, I was quite nervous too. It's not easy when your sense of self has crumbled. Learning that you aren't seen in the way you think you are, is a very tough feeling. I can't describe it, but it made me really feel fragile. In the truest sense of the word. I started by telling her that I was really upset about her comment because frankly, I'd always thought I was that exciting guy to her. I told her that in my mind, I was the guy who makes her heart skip a beat. So I had to brace myself and ask again what she meant when she said I wasn't exciting. She looked like she wanted to cry because I guess she could sense I was also upset. She said that she didn't want to hurt my feelings but that I make her feel very safe and secure, and that with me, I'm not exciting in the sense that I don't give her thrills like her exes used to. Man, that hurt, but I was still confused. She was being really vague and not really clear in what she meant. I had to ask again what she meant by thrills and she just began crying and apologizing. She tried to hug me but I again walked out. I seem to do this when things get emotional, so I decided to take some shrooms and spend the day outside at a nearby lake. This helped me clear my mind and come to some devastating realizations about myself. I think what I realized was that I was lying to myself. Another commenter said it, which I didn't want to admit, which is I'm more into her than she is into me. I didn't disclose this on my first thread, but she never initiates sex. I don't think she's done that once. With my exes, they always initiated with me. You see, my fiancée is beautiful, to the point where I wonder how I landed her. But you see, that was the issue. Because I was so attracted to her, I wanted her approval. I know that sounds pathetic, but I was able to overlook red flags such as her lack of initiating sex. I thought if I stayed with her, she'd like me the way I like her. Now here's the kicker. I thought that, if I proposed to her, then over time I could win her over. I've been with women who were madly into me, and my fiancée just didn't behave like them at all. In addition to never initiating, she never complimented me much. It was always one-sided. A lot of this begs to question, why would she even be with me? I think that, she saw me as someone who could provide stability. And I guess, maybe she thought my exterior, tattoos, motorcycles, MMA, craft beer, was a facade. I mean, maybe she was kinda right. Not that I don't enjoy those things, I do. But I am able to have that lifestyle because my parents are wealthy doctors. Maybe she thought I was cosplaying as a bad boy, and that in actuality I am a loaded rich kid who provides stability. The other insight I had was that, truth be told, I didn't want to actually get married. I definitely do one day, but I didn't really think it through. I thought to myself, that if I propose, I will grow accustomed to the idea of getting married. But the truth is, I kind of want to continue my lifestyle as it is. Which involves riding my motorcycle, fixing muscle cars, traveling across the country, going to festivals, etc. Do I want to get married one day? Of course. But I want to be with a woman who is really crazy about me. Someone who compliments me a lot, initiates sex, etc. So I ended up talking with her later on and telling her that I want to call things off and end things. I won't bore with details, but yes, she cried a lot, even got angry, said I wasted her time. I told her that it wasn't anything she did, but she didn't buy that and kept pressing. She told me that I misunderstood her comment, but I told her she couldn't even clarify what she thought. It ended with me telling her that I have nothing against her, but that I am just not ready for marriage. I told her that the lifestyle I want to continue, in addition to me not feeling the connection I thought I had with her, was why. It ended quite predictably, but I think going forward I'm going to see a therapist to sort my insecurities as well as find someone more compatible with myself.